Every parent's worst nightmare. A 2-year-old boy vanishes from an Arizona campsite. Family members say he's wearing nothing but a diaper. So did this tiny toddler sneak out of the family tent without waking anybody up? Or is the child the victim of something far more sinister? Plus, a beautiful college student vanishes into thin air. Is this another chapter in the war on women? Marcy Elliott was last seen walking alone on Thursday night, and she hasn't been seen since. Tonight, we're doing everything we can to find her.
Tonight, a 20-pound toddler wearing nothing but a little diaper vanishes from an Arizona campground. Now, searchers are racing against the clock in a really frantic search for 2-year-old Siler Newton.
This entire area that you see that's surrounded by these mountains has been grid searched like that. This area that you're standing in has been searched 4 times.
Siler was last seen at 12:30 in the morning on Monday when cops say his soon-to-be adoptive mom tucked him into a sleeping bag in the family tent. Mom-to-be told cops that Siler was gone when she suddenly woke up at 1:45 a.m. What happened to the boy in that 1 hour and 15-minute gap? KPHO News reports she thinks someone took him because, quote, they can't find his body, end quote. She claimed a, quote, Mexican man, end quote, near the campsite was bothering them, staring at the family the day before. But cops point out that custodial mother has a criminal history that includes making a false report to police. Meantime, cops are investigating whether Siler could be the subject of some sort of custody dispute. Cops are investigating mom-to-be's claim that she's in the process of adopting this little boy. They've already given that mom-to-be and her mom polygraph tests.
Doing horrible. My baby's gone.
That's the custodial mom. As for the biological mom, she lives in another state. HLN affiliate KNXV reports she and the mom-to-be, who you just saw there, are buddies, BFFs. Cops are investigating that relationship as well. I'm taking your calls on this, 1-877-JVM says, straight out to my fantastic panel, Debra Opri, family law attorney. There you are, Debra. Joe Navarro, former FBI senior profiler and author of Louder Than Words, Robbie Ludwig, psychotherapist. And we begin with Christina Estes, reporter with KFYI Radio in Phoenix. Christina, what is the very latest?
Well, the latest is that searchers are still looking for little Siler. It's been nearly 4 days now. They're searching by air. They're using horses, ATVs, bloodhounds. They've been concentrating on a 1-mile area around that campsite because they say, based on their past experience with searches and using computer models, that that's their best chance of finding him alive. But after nearly 4 days, they continue searching, but they're also digging into that relationship you mentioned between the custodial mother and his biological mother.
Now, if Siler did wander out of his tent and into the Beaver Creek campground, how far could a 20-pound toddler in a diaper get?
That's what is the worst. We're preparing for the worst right now. I don't know what's going on, and there's a lot of possibilities. Somewhere along the water. That's why I'm really, really scared, because he's always loved the water.
Cops say mom-to-be Christina Preem says she last saw little Siler at 12:30 a.m. Monday. When she woke up about an hour later, Siler was gone. 15 minutes later, somebody calls 911. Deputies show up at 3 a.m. So that's about 2.5 hours of a little boy wandering around. Yeah, there are creeks running through the campground, pools of water deep enough to be, well, this kid could be in over his head. Issues is also confirmed. There's a campground host who keeps track of everybody's comings and goings. Joe Navarro, you're the former FBI senior profiler. What do you make of it, sir?
This is highly suspicious. This case, there's just so many intricacies here, and actually it should be quite simple. Someone that's less than 2 years old, their mobility is probably less than 1 kilometer in about 3 to 4 hours. And especially in rough terrain, the dogs would have been sent out there. They would have sniffed for this dog, for this child. And there's so many unexplained things, such as, you know, where were the people attending to this child? Where was the tent? Why wasn't the tent zipped up? Why wasn't the child properly clothed? How could he have escaped? And how come there is no evidence or indication of where this child is? It is highly suspicious.
Now, KPHO reports that Christina Preem who is the custodial mom, says a Mexican man near the campsite was bothering the family, staring at them all day. Now, remember, Preem has a criminal history that reportedly includes making a false report to police dated back to 2007, as well as, let's see, prescription drug violation in 2004. Now, we're not comparing this case, but we can point out there have been infamous cases in the past with this element of pointing a finger at a stranger. Sure. Remember in 1994, Susan Smith killed her own children. At first, they were considered missing, and during the 9-day search, Susan repeatedly implicated, quote, a black man, end quote, who had carjacked and kidnapped her boys. So what do you make of it, Debra Opri? You're the family law attorney.
Well, as a family law attorney, I've handled a lot of custody issues. The first thing a court is going to look at, and I'm sure the law enforcement is going to look at it as well, is this parent competent in terms of parenting skills 101? Health, safety, welfare of the child. Did she put the child in a place of endangerment? When you put a 2-year-old child at a campsite, you have to say, can he wander off? Can he fall and hit his head? Can he get poison ivy? Can he be subject to abduction? I'm leaning towards this. They all went to sleep. The child is up, and he might have wandered off and been abducted. But we have to abduct it, and we have to look at all the potential escape routes by anyone who would have abducted him. You indicated earlier that they have these checkpoints for people coming in and out. So I'm going to say, doing custody, you look to the soon-to-be adoptive parent. She failed miserably in terms of custodial obligations of protecting this child to his health, safety, welfare.
Well, yeah, and why is somebody with a criminal history in a position of adopting a child? Robbie Ludwig, psychotherapist.
And why would the biological mother choose a woman like this to be the custodial mother is the big question. You know, maybe this child was difficult to handle and the biological mother couldn't handle him, and so in order to protect him from her inability, she gave this boy to her best friend. And this best friend also was unable to take care of him. Birds of a feather flock together. You're right, it does sound very, very suspicious. I don't like this woman said there was a Mexican man in the area who looked suspicious. It does sound a lot like Susan Smith's claim, you know, somebody who, you know, a dark man looked dangerous. It just doesn't ring true to me.
Christina Estes, my understanding is that the biological mother suffers from depression, and she said she gave the child away because she wanted the child to have a better life.
But what she told a reporter was that just because she said her life, quote, was messed up didn't mean that she didn't love him and want what was best for him. She also said that this is not a custody battle, that she thinks it's an unfortunate accident.
Okay, investigators have searched high and low for Seiler, but they're also being pragmatic. Listen to this.
The longer this takes, the more concern we have that the child may not be here. I mean, that's always a possibility. We just don't know.
Patty, California, your question or thought, ma'am?
Oh, hi, Jen. Good afternoon. My question is, what are the chances that possibly, since the tent was unzipped and the other children were in there and they left it unzipped, whatever, that a wild animal could have come into the tent and dragged the child out?
Well, you know, I hate to blame animals for a situation like this. The chance of that happening is extremely remote. I don't know who wants to take that, but how about Joe Navarro?
You would have heard the screaming.
Exactly.
Jane, I have to tell you, in the absence of facts, you go with statistics. Children that age are hurt or injured by their own family. The statistical probability of an animal or an outsider committing this is statistically minuscule.
Yeah, I gotta say that this whole thing smells a little bit, but I also want to say that the custodial mother is not being named a suspect or a person of interest. Christina Estes, you're the reporter on the ground. We understand that she has been given a polygraph. What do you know?
That's right. Police say that she has been cooperating and that she has taken a polygraph, as well as her mother, They are not releasing the results of that polygraph. Let me go back very quickly, if I could, to the caller's question about an animal maybe taking Siler. Siler was in the tent with his custodial mother, with her daughter, as well as her mother. So there were 2 adults and another child in that tent with Siler when he was reportedly last seen.
Yeah, I mean, that's something out of a movie. You remember the whole line, a dingo took the baby. You know, we don't want to go there. It's absurd, but you know, it's not funny because there's a beautiful little precious boy missing, and we want to find him. We're going to stay on top of this story. Thank you, wonderful panel. Up next, a student vanishes. Could she be another addition to the war on women? What's going on here with all these beautiful young women vanishing? I am so sick of this trend. We've got to do something about it, and we're taking your calls. 1-877-586-7297.
The cops came to my apartment at the lofts and knocked on my door and asked if I'd seen her, but I don't know where she could be.
There's no phone activity, nothing.